Hello, bonjour, hola, assalamualaikum, selamat sejahtera. Welcome to COMAT 2024. I'm Zain, your AI host for today. I'd like to go over a few points as a reminder to all audience on the etiquette of attending this webinar. First, everyone who attends this webinar will be given an e-certificate after each session. Therefore, do not forget to register your full name once the link for registration is open. Make sure it is typed correctly and your email address is accurate too. Only for teachers or education officers in Malaysia, please make sure you also provide your IC number. You will find the registration link is pinned in the live chat box of this YouTube channel. Second, teachers from Malaysia, don't forget to also register your attendance in SPL KPM. The registration link will be released 10 minutes before the session is over. Third, we would love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any questions for our speaker, please feel free to send them through the YouTube live chat box. The speaker will be answering your questions by the end of the session. If we don't answer your questions during today's webinar, we will be sure to follow through afterwards. Fourth, be respectful of others. When communicating, please be polite. Impolite language will not be tolerated, and audience who are rude will be removed from the webinar. Finally, we would appreciate it if you could share today's webinar with others through your social networks. Now that this is out of the way, let's get started with our very first session. Thank you for taking time to listen to this announcement. See you again soon. Terima kasih. Kamsahamnida Yorobun. Over to you now, Miss Moderator.
Assalamualaikum, selamat datang and good day to all. Welcome to the International and Domestic Virtual Colloquium or COMAT 2024, organized by the Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm Nur Hazrin Anwar and I'm the moderator for today's colloquium series entitled Going Beyond the Four Walls. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on our live EduWeb TV YouTube channel for COMAT 2024. The theme for this year's colloquium is Responsible Education for a Dignified Future. For those of you new to COMAT, the goal of this colloquium is to provide the space for educators all over the world to discuss, share, and exchange views with fellow educators on topics related to education and how it is transforming globally. Indeed, through this colloquium, there is plenty to learn and expand our knowledge. COMAT 2024 brings to you 18 series in the form of individual webinars with speakers from Malaysia and abroad. This is the 15th series of our virtual colloquium, and I hope you will stay till the end of this session. Ladies and gentlemen, educators are blessed with so many opportunities to further their studies and improve their knowledge and skills with the latest innovation and teaching strategies. Our life as an educator is not only restricted within the school compound. We should always seek for opportunities to develop professionally and personally. In other words, to go beyond the four walls where no one has gone before. Therefore, in this webinar, we are going to explore some of the opportunities available, and our esteemed panelists for today will share their own experiences, the advantages and challenges that they had encountered, and how these experiences contribute not only for their own professional growth, but also for the betterment of our education system. Now, allow me to introduce our speaker for today's webinar on Going Beyond the Four Walls. Our first speaker is Dr. Lily Hanifarizan binti Azbullah, a senior lecturer from Research Center of Arabic Language and Islamic Civilization, Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM, who's currently a visiting scholar at Kyoto University, Japan. Our next speaker is Ms. Teh Wijaya, an English language teacher who's currently pursuing her master's degree at the Graduate School of Asia Pacific Studies, Waseda University. Ms. Teh Wijaya graduated from the IPGKBA Canterbury Christchurch University Twinning Program before furthering her studies at Waseda University under the MEXT scholarship. Our third speaker is Mr. Muhammad Azmanuddin bin Azman, also known as Mr. D, who is currently a lecturer here at IPGKBA. Mr. D was one of the teachers selected in these two programs, Korea-Malaysia Teacher Exchange Program, also known as COMTEP, and Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant, or FLTA. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first panelist, Dr. Lily Hanifarizan binti Abdullah. Now, Dr. Lily, my first question, as a visiting scholar for Arabic language, could you enlighten us on your experiences and some professional development programs available for those in higher education institutions?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. So first of all, I want to say thank you for COMAT and Institute of Teacher Education International Language Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for inviting me to share my journey as a visiting lecturer. And also, I want to say thank you to the moderator, Ms. Hazrin, for the question just now. I hope that my presentation after this will answering the question about the opportunity as an educator in higher education institution especially. So I will share the opportunities for the visiting scholarship program in Kyoto University, Japan. So first, we will see the overview about this scholarship. Actually, Kyoto University offering this scholarship for various faculty and center. So for my case, I got this scholarship program through Center for Southeast Asian Studies, or we call after this SIAS. So previously, SIAS has a long history, and also um, with the 400 scholars since 1975. So for me, it's a place where the researcher dive deep into the research about the Southeast Asian studies, and it's very valuable experience. Okay, so what makes this program special? For me, it's about the diversity. It's not just about the scholar. We share with the scholars, but also they also welcomes the governments, official, educator, journalists, NGO workers, and other professionals. So all this mix, all these backgrounds from the uh, scholars, okay, mix bring a well of a perspective and reaching the new environment for the research. This is what I feel here. So it's a very valuable and is very fruitful of discussion because of the diversity and because of the various background of the thought. So we will move to the annual fellowship. Each year, SIAS offer 14 fellowship. So these competitive fellowship supports there for 3 to 6 months. Okay, for my case, they allow me to stay here for 1 year. Okay, so it based on the discussion. Okay, and during the fellowship, you have encouraged to participate in various CS activities such as conference, seminar, workshop, and even contributing into the publication. So there is also a chance to deliver a public lecture, sharing our insight with a broader audience. To support our journey, so this program also offer stipends covering international travel and living expenses, along with the funds for research and domestic travel. So if you are selected, let's say, as a fellow, you are considered an employee of Kyoto University. Okay, so in summary, what I can say, SIA's visiting scholarship program at Kyoto University is more than an academic opportunity. It's an enriching experience. Okay, we can gain access to top tier resources and also immerse ourselves in a cultural vibrancy and also dynamic scholarly community. Okay, so now before we go to the eligibility and application procedure, I want to share what actually for the first step for my case. In the first place, I was looking for a potential supervisor. So after contacting them via email, the supervisor asked me to apply for a visiting lecturer position. So from that moment, I understood that there was opportunity in this scholarship program. So in Japanese culture, it is necessary for someone to be referred and trusted. So in my case, it was my supervisor who wanted to recommend me for this scheme. And after that, I study this website and submit the application. So let's say you want to be considered for the SIAS visiting scholarship program. There are a few criteria that you have to follow. The first one, you must be productive scholar. Okay, and this scholarship also is not available to individuals currently pursuing graduate degrees or postdoctoral studies. If you have been a CS fellow before, let's say for me, okay, if I want to reapply again, I have to wait another 6 years, okay, after the completion of my fellowship. Okay, now we will move to the application process. All application must be submitted through the online form. Okay, so you will need to complete the all application and attach your CV and highlighting your major publication. You also have to provide your research plan to your fellowship term and outlining your project scope and objective. And don't forget to include 2 recommendation letters from the referees who can attest your qualification and research potential. But for my case, after I have to attend the interview, so after I pass the interview, there's a 2 staff in or academician from Kyoto University write down the 2 recommendation letter as a referees for my application, and make it PDF, and you can send to the Grand Sias Kyoto University email. And also another one, like my case, you can send through the third party, which is your supervisor. Okay, so after this, I will share my memories or my experience as a visiting scholarship program. So if you see here, this is I have to attend the conference and I have to give a public lecture about my program, about my research. So this is my supervisor, Professor Associate Professor Yamamoto Hiroyuki. And from this conference, okay, we have to share our insight, our view, and also we can exchange the view from another scholars. So this is our family from SIAS. Okay, this is a big family, and all the research about in SIAS is about the Southeast Asian studies. And I also have to give the colloquium about the influence of Islam and Arabic language in Malay civilization. Okay, I have to give them overview. So we here in Kyoto University, we have to share our progress in every quarter. Okay, so for me, it's a very valuable experience because we can change the insights. We can get another view from another scholar. So I think it's very a good discussion and good started for who want to interested to be a visiting lecturer in Kyoto University, especially. So this is my director, okay, Director Mino San. So he was the one who approved the scholarship program. Actually, the one in the meeting in the HQ. So this is our annual meeting. So last week we have the report meeting, actually every quarter, about our progress in our research. And if you see here, this is a page about my SIAS. Sorry, it's about the SIAS page. And I have to share about my um, experience before, and they put this interview in the magazine of SIAS. So I think it's very valuable. So who want to be a part of SIAS? Okay, so I hope that my presentation just now answering the question from the Miss Hazrin. That's all for now. I think I pass the floor back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lily. Indeed, it's a great sharing, and it's interesting to know about this SIAS program. Just from your first presentation, it seems that to apply there are many challenges, because it's very competitive. So can you explain more on that? Perhaps more challenges that you have encountered, and also what are the gains from this program?
So thanks, moderator, for the question. So for this second round, I will try to answer it. Let's delve into the gains I achieved and challenges I encountered during my time as a visiting lecturer here. Firstly, my experience lead to a significant, for me, it's lead to the significant expansion of my knowledge because I immerse myself, okay, with the various academic environments, okay, so it makes I understanding. Is make my deepen my understanding in my research. So moreover, I think engaging with another scholars from the background, with various background and professional from diverse background enhance my networking, of course, capability. So these expands professional network, not only make potential collaboration, but also open door to future collaboration and future opportunities. And in terms of skills, what can I say is my time as visiting lecturer helped me sharpen my communication and also my presentation abilities. And throughout this discussion and also this presentation helped me a lot, and I learned to convey complex ideas effectively and enhancing, of course, it will enhance my professional toolkits. Furthermore, building lasting, and also when I have a connection with my supervisor and my mentors and also my peers and collaborators in my lab, it is very valuable outcome, because all this connection have facilitated ongoing exchange of my idea and also the resources that we utilize. And this is one of the good indicator in enriching my academic journey. And of course, I also facing the challenges that, but I have encountered here. And the most, personally, the most challenging part is going into the kids' education system, because um, what why I can say like that, because this is very for me it's a very crucial part, okay, in terms of the registration, documentation, and also administration. So it comes with the language barrier as well, and it really takes my efforts and time. For me, the overall education system in Japan was very good. But if you would like to go into the education system, just put in the mind that all these challenges, because it requires patience and persistence, but the end of the result for me, it's very worth it. So I hope my presentation answering the question just now. So I pass back the floor to the moderator. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Dr. Lily, for this great sharing. Yes, I'm sure it was challenging, the process of application, and also some challenges that you encountered, but it is rewarding at the end of the day. Right. So from the first presentation, Dr. Lily has shared some of the opportunities available for those in higher education institutions. Now, let's find out if there are similar programs available for our teachers in schools. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure most of you are aware with few notable scholarships such as Chevening, Fulbright, and even Hadiah Latihan Persekutuan or HLP. But what about the MEXT scholarship? To know more about this program, I would like to invite our second speaker, Ms. Teh Huijia, to share her experiences and insights. Over to you, Ms. Huijia.
Good morning and salam sejahtera, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Hazrin, for the question, and also thank you to Komat and IPGKBA for having me on. So today I would like to talk about the MEXT scholarship and share my experiences as a MEXT scholar recipient. So next slide, please. Okay, so there are several Japanese government Monbuka Gakusho scholarships or MEXT scholarships available, but I am only going to talk about two that are pertinent to school teachers or to graduate students. So the first one is the postgraduate or research student scholarship, which lasts for 1.5 or 2 years. But bear in mind that we enter as a research student, so that means that we are a non-degree seeking student, but we have a chance to continue onto a master's or PhD program. So this scholarship is available for students or teachers with undergraduate degrees. That's also possible, or teachers with master's degree who are seeking to do a PhD program. the applicant must be under 35 years old at the time of application, and this is the scholarship that I've received. So the process of applying for this scholarship is quite complicated. First, we have to send documents to the embassy, and after the screening, we will be invited for a language proficiency test. For the language proficiency test, there are two tests, Japanese and English. For most teachers or for the applicants, we don't really need a Japanese language proficiency, but it would be an added advantage. But we have to score well in the English side. After we pass the language proficiency test, we might be invited for an interview, and that is the first screening. After we pass the interview, we have to start applying by ourselves to the universities that we wish to enter in Japan and get an acceptance letter or an admissions letter from the university and submit it to the embassy, where we will get the second screening. And after passing the second screening, we can enter as a research student. The other scholarship available would be the teacher training scholarship. So this is teacher training and is only open to educators in Malaysia. So it's open to teachers in primary or secondary schools, or even educators in teacher training institutions. Similar to the first scholarship, the applicant must be under 35 years old at the time of application and also have at least 5 years of experience teaching. So I have included the link to the Monbusho scholarships that is attached to the Japanese embassy in Malaysia, and you can see a list of scholarships over there. Next slide, please. So for me personally, the scholarship I received was the research student postgraduate scholarship, but my scholarship also has an additional attachment to it. So mine is called the ASJA MEXT scholarship. So ASJA stands for Asia Japan or Asia Japan Alumni International, and selected students from the 10 ASEAN countries. We are selected from the batch of the MEXT scholarship recipients to participate in exchange programs with the aim of helping us master the Japanese language, understand Japanese culture better, understand Japanese people better, and also become future bridge leaders, or this called kakehashi between Japan and ASEAN countries. So this is actually historically from the Fukuda Doctrine, because due to historical factors, the relationship between Japan and ASEAN countries wasn't that good, but the Japanese government set up a new kind of scholarship to invite more ASEAN scholars to sort of better the relationship between the countries. So some of the exchange programs I participated in, thanks to this ASJA MEXT scholarship, included webinars to learn more about Japanese history. So that includes their economics, their education system, their political system, and things like that. We also had the chance to participate in study trips as well as cultural exchange programs. Next slide, please. So for example, these are the activities with ASJA friends. So personally, it was a really good experience and also a really good opportunity to receive this ASJA MEXT scholarship, because coming to Japan alone, we had the chance to meet many other students from ASEAN countries whom we wouldn't have met without this scholarship. But through participating in exchange programs and study trips together, we made many friends. So for example, on the picture on the left, that's us in Shirakawa-go in Gifu Prefecture. And in the middle is just us having dinner together. And my friends in the pictures, they come from Myanmar, Philippines, Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, basically all the ASEAN countries. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I would like to talk more about my learning journey as a graduate student, a postgraduate student in the Graduate School of Asia Pacific Studies, Waseda University in Tokyo. So my course is called MA in International Relations, but my specialization is comparative and international education. So previously I was an English teacher, and most of my studies looked at the micro side of education system. So what happens in the classroom, pedagogical stuff, curriculum, but comparative and international education helped me to look at education from a macro lens. And I started to realize that education systems are not situated within a national vacuum. So for example, how the Malaysian education system changes might have different factors and different international organizations and different ways of thinking that goes into it. So we have international organizations such as OECD that comes up with the PISA test, for example. We have the World Bank with their sets of values, and we have UNESCO with the SDGs and UN with the SDGs. And those are very different ways of thinking about what education should be. So that helped me to reflect on my own learning as a student who went through the Malaysian education system, and also the assumptions. So before we criticize something or before we evaluate something, we need to have more basis and a kind of wider perspective to understand why things are the way they are. And also, as a student in the Graduate School of Asia Pacific Studies, my studies are not just about education systems, but they are more interdisciplinary. So I took courses on comparative and international education. But to fulfill my credits, I also had to take classes in sociology, in macroeconomics, in history, politics, and international relations. So that really broadened my worldview and also added to my knowledge about how the world works. Next, being in Japan, I also had the chance to polish my Japanese language. So my first ever journey into Japanese language learning started from IPG KBA, where I took a short lesson in, well, a base, the fundamentals in Japanese language from Ang Sensei. I think she has retired now, but that was the starting. And thanks to that, I became more interested in the Japanese language and through self-learning, but also thanks to the ASJA scholarship that provided us with 6 months of Japanese language lessons, I managed to pass my N1 exam last December. But from that, I also realized that, language affects the way we think, and especially speaking in Japanese language with so many layers of meanings and so many layers of politeness, that also affects the way I behave in real life. And next, I would like to talk about living alone, Hitori Kurashi. So in Japan, it's very complicated to rent an apartment, right? It's easier to stay in a student dormitory or one of the, I don't know, student centers or share houses. But because I rented my own apartment, I had to learn how to set up the house because I came to an empty room. So buying furniture, setting up the bills, budgeting, and basically learning how to survive by myself. Okay, next slide, please. And the things I learned in Japan related to their education system. The first one would be tokatsu, or tokubetsu katsudo, which means special activities. So maybe the Japanese education system has been quite well known even in Malaysia about how they run their schools and how independent the kids are. But they have a concept called the whole person education through things like classroom discussions, classroom responsibilities, and also classroom management. So when I enter schools to look at how they run their schools, it's not the teachers running the school, but it's the students taking charge. Things like when they have to eat lunch, the students are in charge of getting the food from the canteen, serving the food to everybody, picking up the pieces and cleaning up after that. They also have daisoji, so like a kind of gotong royong or spring cleaning. And the students are very aware of that, and they will work together with the instructions to clean the classroom. The second thing is about connection to nature. So the people I speak to in Japan, I feel like there's a deep sense of connection through the surrounding environments, and they know a lot about their history. And that made me reflect on how little I used to know about my own environment. I grew up in Penang, but I know a little bit about the history. I know a little bit about the environment, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like what fish would live in Penang or what kind of plants. But the people here, they are able to do that. And that has some connections to education for sustainable development, or ESD, which is a concept promoted by UNESCO, and is linked very much to the SDGs right now. So here you can see a picture, and that picture is actually salmon eggs. And that was taken when I was on a trip to a salmon, breeding museum. And the idea was when students are in year 4, so like primary 4 in Malaysia, they start to take care of the eggs. They learn how to, spawn the eggs and fertilize the eggs together with the people at the museum. But after they go to Form 2 or Chuni, which is like junior school, second year, after 4 years, the salmon would be already mature and released into the river. And they will visit the museum again and look at the fish. So it's a sense of the kids growing up together with the fish and seeing kind of the impact and the cycle of life within the nature surrounding them. Okay, next, please. And And through this scholarship, I also managed to create some opportunities for my own students back in Malaysia. So sometimes I teach programs or I have like intercultural exchange programs with Japanese high school students. And I have set up a Zoom intercultural exchange with the Japanese high school students here. So it's like a Malaysian students and Japanese high school students talking about their school life, how their extracurricular activities are like, how their classrooms look like, and that's a valuable opportunity for both sides to learn about each other and to have intercultural exchanges. I've also had ex-students, so they are now in universities, but they participated in exchange programs like AFS Japan or university level exchanges, and they visit Japan, and we managed to meet up quite a number of times. And lastly, for students in Malaysia, especially, I think learning the Japanese language really opens doors to all these opportunities that are available from the Japanese government or even from Japanese NGOs. Okay, next slide, please. So through my um, through my experience as a scholarship recipient, I also managed to participate in conferences. So on the left, that was me trying to present for the very first time in Japanese about my research topic, which is sustainability in higher education. And then I also went to the CESA, so Comparative Education Society of Asia, Comparative Education Society of Hong Kong, and on the right, that was in Bangkok, a collaboration between Waseda University, Tokyo University, and UNESCO Bangkok, where we talked about higher education and the Common Agenda 2030, which is the SDGs. Next slide, please. And some of my best memories in Japan would be the festivals. So sometimes I have never joined a festival, but I've looked at it. And during summer, they have a lot of fireworks. So on the left, you can see the fireworks, and it's free to watch as long as we go there by the river. And something I admire about Japan is all the festivals they have at every season of the year. So there's a festival for spring, there's a festival for summer, there's a festival for autumn, there's one for winter. And they managed to attract the locals to join in, and they participate very enthusiastically. Next. And another valuable memory is the ISE Japan study program that I managed to join earlier this year, so sometime in February, March this year. And ISE is a place in Japan where apparently the faith Shinto started. But from there, I met a lot of international friends who also joined this study program. Friends from Hong Kong, from Turkey, from Poland, China, from Italy, and we learned a lot about Japanese culture, such as how to make matcha and how to serve matcha. And in the middle picture, I also had a chance to talk to a Shinto priest who talked to me about the UNESCO World Heritage Sites and how these World Heritage Sites could be used to promote peace and to promote intercultural understanding. Okay, next slide, please. And another favorite thing of mine in Japan would be the shrines. So just now I talked about appreciation for nature, and that is something about the Japanese shrines that show a lot of appreciation for nature. So on the left, you can see a waterfall, and they revere the waterfall, they respect the waterfall, so they build a shrine there to sort of pay their respect to the waterfall. And in the middle is the Issei Grand Shrine, which is related to the Issei Japan Study Program. And the third picture from the left is the one in Hiroshima. So this might be quite a famous one because with the rise and lowering of the tide, you can see like the shrine appear, the torii gate appears to be floating in the middle of water. And on the right, it's a very cute name. It's called the Husband and Wife Rock. And apparently the old Japanese people, they thought, oh, these rocks are sacred. These rocks are cool. So on the left is the husband, on the right is the wife. And they built a shrine there to commemorate it or to respect it. Okay, next slide, please. And lastly is about the appreciation of nature. So because Malaysia does not have 4 seasons, Japan has 4 seasons. So I feel like time passes very quickly. Like you have sakura that blooms for 2 weeks, and after that the season changes. Now we are in summer, and you have the ajisai, and during autumn we have the trees yellowing. And by the way, that's a picture of Waseda University's landmark, so our clock tower. And just by coming here, I've learned to appreciate nature more, and I wish to share that sense of appreciation with my students in future. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Miss Vijaya. Okay, so that is really interesting. From your presentation just now, you mentioned something about having to, improve on your Japanese language and also adapt to the culture. And previously, when you did your degree, you also experienced something like this, but it was in the UK.
Yeah.
So, can you explain more? When you compare the experience you had in the UK and also in Japan, was there like in terms of the difficulties, okay, challenges for you to adapt to their education system, culture, especially language? In Japan, English is a foreign language. So perhaps you can share more on that.
Okay, thank you for the question, Miss Hezrin. So definitely there were many challenges to adapt to the Japanese education system and the language and also the culture. And as you mentioned, I came from the UK degree system. And in the UK, we could call our professors by their names. We didn't need to think so much about politeness and manners when interacting with them, but it's totally different in Japan. So most of my first few months was spent at looking at how other people did things, especially the Japanese people, and learning from their manners. But also, there's a kind of identity conflict because I'm still not Japanese and I'm not trying to be Japanese. So it's about kind of maintaining a balance between who I am. And especially for the Japanese education system, they are quite well, it's not very well known. So, for example, how do we apply to universities? How do we contact the professors? There's no centralized system, not like UCAS or I mean, like applying to the UK universities or USA universities. They have a centralized system, but that's not the case in Japan. So something really important that I learned was the ability to gather information and to ask others who have gone through the same journey. So ask if you are interested in applying for the MEXT scholarship, definitely reach out to previous MEXT scholarship recipients and ask them for tips. And something about the Japanese education system is also we have zemis or like weekly seminars. And in the seminars, the research students, they take turns presenting their presentations. But I was very lucky because I am in Tokyo and it's relatively, well, it's the most international city in Japan. So the number of English speaking people or students are relatively higher compared to other parts of Japan. But I also had very supportive Zemi senpais or my seniors who encouraged me to ask questions when I'm not sure. So something I learned is that I should just be, more thick-skinned and not be afraid of, looking stupid or seeming stupid or saying something stupid because in the end, there are no stupid questions. So that's something that I learned from the Japanese education system. As for language, something I'm still currently struggling with is the whole concept of keigo or polite language. So we have like normal polite language, we have friendly casual language, and then there's keigo for people who are above us in status. And I know the concept, but it's very hard to express it, especially when I'm trying to translate between languages. But it's something that I'm working on, and my professors, they are very kind because they understand that I'm a foreigner. So they are also very supportive of my Japanese language learning journey. And something that is happening to me right now is messing up my own languages because Japanese is my fourth language. So sometimes I would just mix like all four languages together and nobody understands what I'm saying. Sometimes I don't understand myself. But yeah, that's just something funny. And on the culture side, Japanese society is well known for having distance and personal space and boundaries. And coming from a Southeast Asian community, we have very different concepts of what boundaries mean or what closeness or friendship means. So I had to deal with that by just throwing myself in there and observing and well making mistakes. And sometimes there would be loneliness and lack of friendship. And I think there is an imaginary where you come to Japan, you will make many Japanese friends. That might not be the case at the beginning, but it's something that we have to get used to and go through the culture shock. But we can, being in Tokyo, I have many international friends, and that's helpful. And another way I cope with it is to look for Malaysian restaurants, and that gives me a taste of home. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Vijaya, for the insightful sharing. I'm confident that your sharing will be beneficial for those interested in this program. I myself, I'm not really familiar with this program, and I think I learned new things today just from your presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, so from our two speakers, okay, you can see we can conclude that opportunities for teachers are not only limited to getting scholarships or also to work abroad, but sometimes it can also occur through cultural exchange programs. So here we have with us today is Mr. Azmanuddin, or Mr. D, who was involved with two notable cultural exchange programs: Korea Malaysia Teacher Exchange Program, COMTAP, and Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant, FLTA. All right, Mr. D, so my
Okay.
first question for you: what motivated you to apply these cultural programs, and could you provide us with more information on these programs?
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hazrin. Thank you for having me. And hello, everyone watching. I am Mr. D. I'm currently at IPG KBA. Okay, for those of you who were listening earlier, I was involved in two cultural exchanges program. The first one is called Korea Malaysia Teacher Exchange Program, which is COMTAP, and the other one is Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant, FLTA. So, what motivated me into applying for this
Mhm.
two was my dream, my lifelong dream to work overseas. Okay, I always curious to know what's happening out there. So if I were to be cage myself in where I am
Mm.
right now,
Mhm.
I might not be growing. So that's when all this thinking started, and I just thought, okay, you know what? I should just go out. So
Mhm.
I saw these chances and opportunities, and I just seized them. That's how it
Mhm.
all started. And then regarding the programs that I was involved, okay, the first one is back in 2019. The program is called, again, Korea Malaysia Teacher Exchange Program, COMTAP. And this program is actually not something new. Okay, it has been
Mhm.
established since 2014 until recently, last year, 2023. So our government, Malaysia Education, Ministry of Malaysia Education, okay, we always send 10 teachers abroad, okay,
Mm.
to
Right.
South Korea. And then that's when they have this 3 month of immersive program where they
Mhm.
have to where they have this opportunity to be in Korean classroom and also bring up their personal
Mhm.
projects,
Mhm.
and somehow bridging the two countries,
Mhm.
Malaysia and also South Korea.
Mhm.
So I was blessed to be in the team, okay, back in 2019, right before COVID happened. And that's when I was placed in this one particular school in Changwon, which is about 1 hour drive to Busan. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure you know Busan, right?
Yes.
Okay, Busan, where we have this movie, if I'm not mistaken, Hometown Cha-Cha on Netflix.
And I'm thinking of Train to Busan as well.
Yeah, that's the one too.
Yeah.
Okay, we experienced the train and all that. It was really cool. So during that program, I would say I learned a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, coming from someone who has been watching a lot of K dramas but know nothing about Korean. Okay, that was a time where I had to rethought myself, like
Mhm.
so many things. How am I supposed to communicate with Korean kids
Mhm.
about my individual projects if I cannot speak Korean? Okay, that's where you will get everything, like all hands on decks. You have all these gestures, or the facial expression, everything that you are doing with your year one, except that you're doing it with the
Mhm.
Korean.
And it's more challenging because
Very.
in Korea, again, English is a foreign language.
Yes, they only learn English formally when they're in third grade. I think it's about 9 years old.
Mm.
So that's when they learn English formally. But there are some Koreans who already have this education on English a lot
Mhm.
earlier. Okay, but that one will be more like a cram school of some sort, like evening
Mhm.
after school. So that was my experience with ComTap. Okay, in case you are wondering, ComTap is not a program established from our government per se. It's actually a co-join. Okay, a program. Okay, supervised by UNESCO Asia Pacific Center of Education for International Understanding, or better known as APCU.
Mhm.
Okay, so the idea behind this ComTap, or this program by APCU, is to promote more of GCED. Are you
Mhm.
familiar with GCED?
No. Can you explain
All
more
right.
to our
Okay.
live
All right.
audience?
GCED is Global Citizenship of Education. If I were to make it in a simpler definition, okay,
Uh-huh.
just treat it as the idea of having one passport for everyone. So
Mm.
instead of being Malaysian and then just Malaysian, I'm exclusively Malaysian. I know nothing about the other parts of the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, GSET wants to break those walls. Okay, we want people to know that there are other countries and they all have their own cultures. And what better way to
Mhm.
make people aware of all this is via education.
Mm-hmm.
And how to get all this started is from teachers.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they initiated this program. That's when we have all these Malaysian teachers coming through this auditions, submissions of application and whatnot. By the way, we're having another one this year.
Okay.
So if any of you are interested, so please check out the COMT application for 2024, okay, and make sure to submit your application before end of this month.
Okay, you're like
Okay.
an ambassador for
Yes,
Concept now.
yes. I love being one, so
Yeah.
but they are not paying me, so it's fine. It's fine. Okay.
But it's good you're giving back
Yes. Okay.
to Concept.
Anyway, I
yeah.
can. Anyway, I can.
Yes.
All right. That's about COMTAP. And
All right.
then I was also, I would say, blessed with another opportunity, which was Fulbright. Okay, foreign language teaching assistant. This one is a little bit different
Mhm.
compared to COMTAP earlier, because rather than going to primary school or secondary school, I went to university instead.
Mm-hmm.
University in States, obviously,
Right.
USA. So the program is funded by the US government. So the trick is that I have to be there for 9 months. 9 months is equivalent to their 1 year of one academic year.
Okay.
So besides teaching, okay, guess what I'm teaching them?
Because it's definitely you're not going to teach them English.
Yeah, because they know English.
Bahasa.
Yes, correct.
Bahasa.
So the
Okay.
idea behind this FLTA program is that these individuals from different countries will go to universities in the States,
Mhm.
and they have to teach Americans or anyone residing there
Mhm.
their local languages, the national language. So in
Mm.
our case, Malaysia, we have to speak Bahasa Melayu.
Mhm.
So that is the course offered in this particular university in Ohio where I was in for 9 months. Okay, so I had to polish my Malay myself, my Malay language, but it was really interesting because it's not just about language.
Yes.
It's also the cultural thing that I'm bringing forward to them as
Yes.
well. Okay, so besides teaching the language, I also had the chance to go for classes.
Mhm.
So I can do both credit and audit classes. That's where I learn about American politics, American history, which I'm still struggling, by the way. Okay, but at least I know a few things rather than zero from before I went. So it was a life-changing kind of experience, I would say.
Mm. It's really interesting that you mentioned that other than teaching them Bahasa Melayu and also, giving them exposure to our own Malaysian culture, you have to attend classes and you learn
Yes.
about American history and all that. So I'm sure it's better when you go there, you learn more and you
Yes.
mingle with the students there. It's like it's different than what we see on television.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when we pick up a few lines from song lyrics like white picket fence. What does it actually mean?
Mhm.
But actually referring to this certain economic background of
Mhm.
people in America. So I only learned that when I was there. So
Mhm.
that's why I think the whole experience is a game changer, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And back to your question, what motivated me to do it?
Mhm.
That's the one. That's the
Okay.
motivation.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. D. I have
Welcome.
another question for you. So, from your own experience from these two programs, COMTAP and also FLTA, how does these two programs help you to become a better person and a better teacher once you are back in Malaysia?
Okay, thank you again. I knew this is coming. I
Yes.
can anticipate that this sort of questions are coming. Okay, so to answer this question, I'll put it in two different scenarios. The
Alright.
first one is what's in it for me, and the second one will be what's in it for my students or my former students back then.
Mhm.
Okay, so if I may sum up the whole scenario, I will
Mhm.
just put it in just 3 words. Okay, and that would be a game changer.
Mhm.
Okay, why am I saying it's a game changer? Because it helps to open up my dreams and accomplishments.
Yeah.
And then it is such a life experiences, and of course there's challenges as well, just like the other two speakers faced.
Mhm.
And it helps to open up more opportunities.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we may go to the slide, okay, I have this one slide dedicated to pictures. So while waiting for the pictures to be up,
Yeah.
okay, when we talk about dreams and accomplishments, okay, what would be your dream in terms of academic journey?
I think similar like yours.
Okay.
In my lifetime, I managed to get scholarships and also opportunities to go abroad. So I'm blessed with that. So I think, yeah, as an educators, we need that. We need to go out and experience the environment outside of our country because it's a whole total system. And also from the panelists, our Dr. Lily and also Miss Wija, they mentioned something about how it is good to connect with others, to learn more of their cultures and
Yes.
all that. So I think it's really good. It's an eye opener, I
True,
would
true.
say. Yeah.
Okay, let's just go to the next slides. I think the slide with the whole pile of photos. Okay, next one, please. And the next one. All right, so these are the summary of all that I think what's in it for me. Okay,
Yeah.
the first one is self-discovery. Okay, if it's not for these two opportunities, I don't know what I'm capable of doing, which is my interest of bringing up our culture to the world to see. So when I was dealing with Comtap and also Fulbright, I gave my all, like 100%. Instead of packing clothes, I pack things from Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay,
that's
and I
good.
even went exceeded. Okay, but it doesn't matter as long as I have all Malaysian related in my bag, in my luggage, and ready to be displayed to the world. I'm satisfied. Okay, and then I had the chance, the experience to host a Raya open house, which means I have to cook.
For FLTA and Comtap?
For Comtap, I did like just simple onde, but FLTA I experiment a bit more
Okay.
by having nasi
Interesting.
lemak.
Oh, okay. So it must be your first attempt at making nasi lemak.
My very first attempt, I called my sister in the morning right before the prayer, like how am I going to, cook the rice itself?
Yeah.
Sambal is the other thing. And then we have the rice. Okay, that's too much for one person to handle, but I nailed it and I'm so happy. None of them reported that they're having food poisoning.
Glad that it went well.
Glad that it went well. Okay, so that is self-discovery. And then being involved in cultural exchanges program, of course, you will have the sense of going back to your roots. Okay, some people are very close to me know that I don't really speak much in Cantonese or even Malay language, not because I'm a snobbish person. It's just that I'm trying to be professional. So sticking to my work, so I use English as much as I could. But when I was involved in these two programs, I feel like, okay, the Kelantan is in me,
Yeah.
just raised to the fullest.
Yeah.
Okay, this is evident when I proposed the idea of shadow puppet wayang kulit to both countries, Korea as well as States, and I had fun doing it, teaching my student over there how to make onde, which I mean, like, I'm not a cook myself, but teaching people to cook, that is something new. Okay, and then be more explorative. Of course, when you are there, you don't have anyone around. At least people back home are not with you. You cannot pack them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to use whatever you have on your disposal. On your disposal. So this is where we have all these bowls in substitute of chongka and so much more.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, I am representing the country. I have to be on my toes the whole time. Okay, so I have to make sure that whatever I said is right. I don't touch anything culturally clashing. For example, when I was doing an open mic, I did an open mic anyway.
Okay.
I sang in front of
Interesting.
people. Yes, but I did Rasa Sayang song. Okay, but I had to be also aware that Rasa Sayang share same attribute to the song with our neighboring country as well. So we have to acknowledge that as well. We cannot just go and say this is this and that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then another culturally aware happens also when I learn the coin system in the States. Okay, the sizes maybe bigger and smaller, but the value is not.
Because it's a whole different system. Because we
Yes,
follow the British system.
correct.
So
So
yeah.
that's brand new. And then the tipping, we don't have that tipping.
It's not in our culture.
Yeah, it's not in our culture.
Yeah.
So knowing that I was a student, so I always tip like $1.
Okay.
I don't
I
know.
hope they don't judge you.
I hope so. I hope so. But that was like our university compound, so $1 is
Yeah.
fine. But if you go to different states, different cities in the states, they have different tipping percentage of the tipping. Some will ask for 15% or 10% or 5%, depends. Okay, and of course, going places. Okay, I managed to visit a few places. Okay, with whatever budget I have. Okay, because we go to like this country, like the States, of course. So I have to be very strict on that. But at least I managed to be to certain places like not Eiffel. I will say Eiffel. Was it Statue of Liberty? Okay, Statue of Liberty and all that. And speaking of opportunities, okay, I also feel that participating in this two program, okay, enable me to give back locally as well as internationally. Okay, if you are on my social media, I think you are, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you're not, then start to become my friend on Facebook
I'm
as
one.
well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have regular postings on whatever
Yeah.
happened there. Okay, it's not every day, but whatever I see striking, I'll just share.
Mhm.
Okay, the same goes when I was in the States as well. I do the same thing
Mhm.
because that is the only way that I could actually educate people out there. What is it that I am experiencing? When I was there, I see myself not doing it just for myself, but I'm taking the whole Malaysian with me.
Mhm.
Okay. And again, also more opportunity to give back. Okay, I was very blessed last year. I was appointed to be a speaker for Macy State-led Malacca Mini Conference. Thank you, Macy, for the opportunity, and also an invited speaker on a podcast. Okay, by
Okay.
our Sabahan teacher, Madam Azalea. Okay, the podcast is called Hive, Hive. That was one of the things that I do to give back. But at the same time, just like the other two speakers just now, being participate in all this allows me to connect with other people. Okay, I would say global connection. Why global is because both global as well as local. So as you can see in the next slides, okay, the next one, okay, and the next one. Okay, this one is we have this WhatsApp group. Okay, the first one is between myself and the other FLTAs at my promo university. The next one is the next one next to it is the global FLTAs for the year 2022-2023.
So we're talking about global. You mean all FLTAs from
All
all over the
FLTAs
world?
from all over the world. So
Okay.
if I feel like I want to connect with anything French, maybe I can connect with FLTA French FLTA.
Okay.
Same goes with other countries as well. Okay, and of course we have chat group for the ComTap alumni. As of now, we have about 81 members, from ranging from 2014 cohort all the way until 2023.
Right.
Yes,
It's
and
a
then we are
huge
expecting.
number.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
We're expecting to have more and more and more. So
Okay.
more teachers will be experiencing this kind of cultural exchange program. And sorry.
Sorry.
And also, okay, also, I was given this opportunity to appear in another FLTA's research. Okay, so that's when we have this one called Teaching of Foreign Languages in the United States Life World of Asian Fulbright FLTA Scholars. So we compile all these FLTAs from the Southeast Asian countries. Okay, next one is what's next. Okay, what has been done and what's next. So this would be a publication. I was very lucky because I was roped into the project last time
Okay.
to come up with that book. The first one, Anyong Haseo Cikgu.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yes, that book compiled the experiences from all 30 alumni from 2014 to 2019. So you haven't got the one, right?
No.
Okay, you should buy them. Okay,
Not
and
get a
read the
free
book.
copy.
Okay, not a free copy.
No, I'm just joking.
No. And then
Yeah.
we also have two more projects coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you are familiar with the one in the middle,
Yes, of
which is
course.
Traveling Teachers exclusively for IPGKBA. And the next
Yes.
one is my solo project, Beyond the Four Walls. But I'm going to feature a few other teachers as well. Inshallah.
Right.
Okay, hopefully this can be done.
Yes.
Okay, with all that being said, okay, opens up more opportunity also means job prospects and also interview chances. Okay, if we can look at the next slide. Where I was at these three schools before. Somebody was placed at SK Sungai Buri in Sarawak, and then I moved to Putrajaya Precinct 14-1, and then 9-2. And now I'm here, IPGKBA, and I'm pretty sure that my place here was also contributed by my
Yes,
participation in
very
these
sure of that.
programs as well.
Yeah.
So where I am next, that is a question that we are going to answer.
You will definitely be somewhere.
I'll be somewhere, hopefully. I mean, okay.
Yes.
So again, when it comes to teacher exchange program, teachers themselves are not getting everything for themselves. Okay, the students also benefit things from themselves, as you can see in the next slide. Okay, the first one is stories to tell to inspire. I did not get to do much when I was at school, but I try to do as much as I could now that I'm in this teacher trainee programs. Okay, hopefully I could inspire more teacher trainees to seize whatever opportunities come their way, and yeah, not to miss any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one is practice what I preach. Of course, when I was away, I saw things that related to education, be it in pedagogy or maybe in terms of methodology and whatnot. So this is where I'm going to try and put it in action. Yeah. And the last one is, of course, giving my students taste of the world. Okay. When I was in ComTech program, okay, we had the chance to do a Zoom call between my fifth graders and my aerodance team back at my previous school. It was so happy. Okay, I remember this one boy from Malaysia, from my class. He was showing these Korean students like a type of bug that he found outside of the park, and then just Zoom it during the Zoom call.
Mhm,
That's how excited it was for them. Okay, and of course, it's not just the Malaysian students; it's also the students that I interacted with when I was overseas. Okay,
mhm.
be it in Korea or in the States. Okay, I had to teach people how to dance. Okay, I'm a good
Yeah.
follower, but I'm not the one who can choreograph. But you gotta do what you have to when you're outside. So that's happened.
And
Yeah.
it's really interesting that, using your connection with
Mm-mm.
Comtep, you are able to bring like foreign students into your classroom. And this, in return, gives your students
Mm-mm.
an opportunity to interact, to use,
Yes.
especially when you're talking about English language. What is the
Yes.
functionality? So
Yes.
it's very good, benefited not only for you,
Mm-mm.
your professional group, but also for your students as well.
Correct. I just hope that those students who took up Malay language, Malay Mala 101 or
Mm,
201, I hope that will come to Malaysia one day and
mm.
practice whatever they've learned from my classes. Hopefully. I didn't remember teaching them anything bad. So,
But
all
I'm
good.
sure that little thing, made a huge impact on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yes. All right. So thank you, Mr. D, for sharing your experiences and insights. So it's truly amazing to see some of the events, pictures that you have shared just now. Okay. The events that you organized and what you had to do to promote our Malaysian culture to your host country.
Yes.
All right. So, dear esteemed panelists, any final words before we end? Mr. D or Miss Wijaya or Dr. Lily?
I think I'll just go then.
Okay,
All
right.
right. So, final word for me for teachers out there, okay, especially those in Malaysia. Okay, the first thing to do is to find your strength. Okay, find your strength, know what you want to do and what's your passion. If you are somehow into content creation, okay, you can do things on TikTok and whatnot with your students, provided you have their consent.
Mhm.
Okay, or maybe you are into sharing and discussing like this, but you don't want to appear visually. You can
Mhm.
try podcasts. I think we have a few podcasts, such as Champions podcast by Mr. Sean Chan, and even Hi from Madam Azalea earlier.
Mhm.
And then if you feel like you want to upskill yourself, there are plenty of opportunities to do that. We have Apple Teacher, Microsoft Certified Educator.
Mhm.
If you are somehow, you have done a lot at school, okay, you have the awards. So we can try Malaysia Teacher Prize. And of course, scholarships,
Yes.
not to forget scholarships.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I would like to thank all three speakers for their insightful sharing today. So based on the session we had today, we could conclude that as educators, it is imperative for us to equip ourselves with the latest knowledge and pedagogical skills that are deemed necessary in our field of work. And there are many opportunities available for us, whether by obtaining master's degree or PhD, a specialist certificate, or being involved in cultural exchange programs, which we have covered a few in this session. So before we conclude this session, okay, let's address some of the questions asked by our fellow audience. Right? Are there any questions?
I believe there's none.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I regret to inform you that we have come to the end of this session. I believe that all of us have learned so much from this sharing, and I hope that the input given by our three panelists today will be beneficial to all. Once again, on behalf of the Institute of Teacher Education International Languages Campus, IPGKBA, I would like to thank our esteemed panelists for today, Dr. Lily Hani Farizan, Mr. Wijaya, and Mr. Muhammad Azmanuddin Azman, Mr. D, for their sharing today. Our gratitude also goes to our technical team, led by Mr. Satya, Mr. Daini, Mr. Fazi, and Mr. Azri. And not to forget our counterpart from the Educational Technology and Resources Division, BSTP, Ministry of Education Malaysia, KPM, led by Mr. Kevin Raj and Miss Jenny Chiang and Miss Lydia. That will be all for now. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to watch our next webinar series, which will be live at 3 p.m. today, entitled Antara Hakiki dan Emosi. Till then, thank you and bye.
It's more hard.